I cannot imagine, I cannot remember, I cannot recall there being a news cycle quite like this. I can't recall. And not only in terms of the news itself, but the complexity of it and how, yet again, if ever you needed an explanation, an explication as to how incredibly deficient, deficient the news is, this is it. This is it. This is something that is beyond anything I can even discuss. Today, we're going to be talking about a lot of things. The Bobby Kennedy announcement, which may or may not be a surprise to you. We knew this was coming. The latest is going on involving not just with Hamas, not just with Gaza, but what's happening with the world and how the world is at war and how we can learn from this and how the world is also looking at this and us. How is this being played? How is this being understood? How is this being described? If ever you wanted to see both the redundancy and the ineptitude of social media and regular conventional Otios has been heritage media, now's the time to watch. Now is the time to watch. Do you understand what I'm saying? This is critical. So, my friends, I ask you, first of all, as always, to like this video, subscribe to the channel. It is critical that we have your subscription, that we have your name, so to speak, your likes, and to be notified in the event if we have new videos or we go live and the like, which is absolutely critical. Now, another thing too, before I forget, first and foremost, right now, it is important for you. It is critical for you to understand something. As we speak, there are people in the Middle East who are, and now granted, I hope to God we never, ever even remotely face what they are going through in Gaza or the surrounding areas or any place else for that matter. I hope, I trust. But if you were to go right there, right now, and ask them, do you think it is a good idea to have emergency food? Say no more. Right now, there is a deal. You can take 25% to get you going as an introductory rate. The great folks at My Patriot Supply, if you go to preparewithlionel.com, use this link that is on the description section and in the comment section, preparewithlionel.com, and save 25%, 25% off a 3-month emergency food order now. Do you hear me? Save 25% off emergency food. This is a deal and a price and a bonus and an invitation I don't know when you're going to get again, and I don't know when it's going to end. Now is the time. 25-year shelf life, 21 varieties, breakfast, lunch, dinner, snacks, drinks, you name it. 120 pounds of food. It is like nothing you've seen. Preparewithlionel.com. Go right now. Go right now and save 25%. And while we're at it, I'm going to say this. Our good friends at mypillow.com are telling you that they are open and business is booming. And if you go right now and use the promo code Lionel, go to mypillow.com, promo code Lionel, you receive a free gift because now the sheets and the percales and everything are selling like you can't believe. They are alive and they are well. And they are our sponsors and we love them. Preparewithlionel.com and mypillow.com, promo code Lionel. All right, my friends, let's go. Let's start off with Bobby Kennedy Jr. He is an independent. What does this mean? It means everything. It means everything. Once and for all, we may have finally an end to this ridiculous dual pretend party, this pretend dualism. The left-right paradigm, the illusion is done, it's finished, it's over, it's through. Enough. Do you hear me? It is over. It is done. It is finished. And if there's one thing that Bobby Kennedy stands for, it's the idea that this otiose, anachronistic, concretized, ossified, old, archaic, irrelevant idea of parties, it does not matter. Do you understand something? It does not matter. Dear friends, I don't know how to put this in any words other than what I'm telling you right now. I don't care whether you like Bobby or not. Yes, there was Cornel West, and yes, there was Jill Stein, and yes, there was Ralph Nader, and yes, there was whoever these other people were. And there were libertarians and the like. I liked the fact that he just went independent, whatever that means. Don't even give it a name. Independent, not subservient to. What he can do to destroy this absolute stranglehold that big tech and others have on the Democrats, how big business and the others have basically, and both of them have been affected by the military-industrial complex of the right. I laud it. I'm happy. I applaud him. God bless Bobby. Good for you. Good for you. And ultimately, I ask the question, whom will this benefit? Trump. Trump. Don't let anybody kid you. When the left is telling you, oh, no, it's going to actually support, no, it's the opposite. They report what they want to be. You understand this? You got it? Okay. Now let's talk about something which is even more important. Even more important. Because I don't even know how to put this into words. I don't know how to say this other than what is happening right now in the Middle East, in Gaza, is so fascinating on so many levels. Do not make the mistake of thinking, oh, that's the Middle East, that's that Israel, that's the way. Look, that's the way they do it, that's the way it is. What are you going to do? Look, don't work, just stop it. Stop it. F. Scott Fitzgerald said something to the effect, and I'm paraphrasing poorly, that the sign of a superior mind is to be able to handle two seemingly inconsistent ideas simultaneously, to hold them simultaneously and still be able to function, to handle multiple plates, multiple ideas, multiple thoughts. There was a fellow years ago on Ed Sullivan. His name was Bryn. Eric, was it Bryn? Yeah, Bryn. And he had the plates. And he had the spinning plates. Remember this? Eric Bryn. It was the plate guy. What was his name? Ed Sullivan. I think his name was Eric Bren. Excuse me, Bren. I was close. And what Eric Bren did was he would have this plate that he would spin like this, and then another plate that he would spin like this. And he would keep going. And then when he looked back, he'd have to go back to this plate to get that one going. And he had bowls and sticks and plates, and he had finally all of them going at a frenetic pace. That is what you as a citizen have to do today. You got to be able to handle multiple plates, multiple ideas, multiple thoughts, multiple everything simultaneously and not lose your mind. You have to look at Israel. You have to look at what's happening and then ask yourself, what are the implications around the world? And take whatever thoughts you have about Israel or Palestine or the West Bank or Gaza or any of the other groups of people from, remember Fatah years ago, the Muslim Brotherhood, the PLO, Islamic Jihad, Hamas, Hezbollah, Iran, Palestinian Authority, the Al-Aqsa Brigade. Oh my God. Take all of those ideas and put them aside. Take away all of your emotion from that and just leave it alone. Take all of your emotion out of it. Leave it alone. Don't worry about that. Don't worry about whether you like them. Just look at them individually like you're looking at animals or bugs or birds or something. Just look at them independently and see it that way. What we have right now is a group of people. It's a place called Israel. And Israel, since 1948, has had a bullseye on it. And it has been the essence of their DNA. They have been targeted by everybody and hated. And throw in anti-Semitism has a name, because technically speaking, Arab people are part of they're Semites as well, but they're not a part of that. But they have its own name, anti-Semitic. It's not just hate. It goes back, and it goes back to Shakespeare and biblical, and even the notion of the crucifixion of Christ, and oh my God, it permeates everything. There's like nothing you've ever seen before. Understand the mindset. This is what you have to imagine. For analogy, I'm talking to somebody from another planet who comes here and says, let me explain this to you. You have to understand what this is about. This is not just a country. This is not just a piece of land. This is more than that. These are people that are so incredibly fixated, not on just the land, but who these people are. Eric Thaddeus Walters, our dear friend, says geography, much like philology, is an essential tool for understanding lots of stuff. Oh, yes, indeed. And the love of knowledge, and you're right about that. And it is so true. To understand propinquity, to understand adjacent how do I say this? Adjacent structures in geography. It's important. And Eric is exactly right. Understand where this is. Gaza is about the size of DC, roughly. You have this group of people, and after World War II, after the events that people dismiss. I was watching a show. I'm not going to mention. I was again. I don't understand. It's not that people are saying this. It's that they're saying it in a way that shows like a crassness. But they were saying, okay, look, they went through a lot of problems with after World War II. We got it. So they're supposed to have their own homeland? Is that it? We're supposed to move people out and the movement. And other people have said no. And then they're arguing as to who was there first. Then I heard the opposite. The people who make it personal. There was another online host who was suggesting there's no such thing as Palestine. The name was made up. They didn't exist. It's manufactured. And what it was, oh, I see what this is. I see what's happening. Heather West says, thank you for your integrity. Love you and Mrs. L from Scotland. Oh, Heather, thank you so, so much. That is so kind of you. Thank you. Thank you for that. They were talking about this, dismissing the derivation, the legitimacy of the Palestinians. They're saying, wait a minute. What? What? This isn't like, genitals, and if you're a man or a woman, and so you had that group. Then you had other people who were talking about Hamas and talking about the Gazans like they're bugs, like they're savages. And I'm thinking, when you talk like that, and I know it's a part of the deal, you start to sound like people do when they talk about Israel, when they're talking about Jews, and it's almost like they're a simian and insects. And do you see where this is going? Yes, but I'm right. And they feel that because that they're zeroing in on this absolutely barbaric behavior that occurred involving young women and children, that they're all savages. Okay, stop. Stop. You don't have to go there. But that's part of the shtick. You see, in order to bring in the audience, you've got to make sure that you have to, this is the way it is, if you want to satisfy the leftist bona fides, you have to make sure that you speak very derisively about Israel and okay, if you want to go on and pull in the CPAC crowd or the the what used to be the Fox News crowd, I don't even know if they're there anymore. You have to show this almost insane pro Israel to the point where it doesn't even seem sincere because people are playing their acts. They have to do this thing. Can we just look at it for what it just is? Can we look can we look at it for what it is? Is it possible? Now there's something that you must understand. The mentality. And I want you to listen to this, and I don't want you to ask whether it's right or wrong. I want you to just understand. Show empathy. Golda Meir said, this is the famous line, that if the Arabs put down their weapons, there will be peace. But if the Jews put down their weapons, they will be annihilated. This is the mentality that we're talking about. This is what they're thinking. You're talking about people who understand, you might say bellicose, but it's a different mindset. It was different. We're talking 75 years ago. And now understand the mindset again, the diaspora being kicked out of everywhere, the Holocaust, go down the list. Do you understand? If you don't understand it, if you dismiss it, if you say, well, it doesn't, you're missing the point. You're missing the point. These folks are not going to give up. You understand this. They will go down with the ship on this. There is no negotiating. And let me tell you what they're thinking. Let me tell you what they were thinking. If I ran for office right now in Israel, you know what I would ask? I would ask, is Israel still Israel? Are we who we thought we were? How did we let this happen? How did this ever happen? How did this ever get to the point where Israel and its famed military and intelligence, how did this happen? We will not be humiliated. Why is that important? Stop right there. Have you heard that one before? Have you heard that? We will not be humiliated. They will fear us. They will respect us. Reagan did it. Putin did it in 2000. Everybody's doing it. Think about this. Think of China. When? 1948. Israel. 48. Think about how these two people came about. Nobody really gets this. Nobody's sort of playing this. You see, I want to know the individuals, 49, I should say, excuse me, the Revolution 49. But if you don't grasp it, if you don't pretend to understand kind of the way the moving parts of this, you're wasting your time with this. You're just wasting your time. Now, here's what they're doing. You've got people within Israel right now who are saying, if you don't do something to teach them a lesson, then you have sealed our fate. Understand what's being said right now. Don't agree with it. Don't disagree with it. Just listen. There are people who say, unless you tell people, oh, no, that's the Israel we remember. See, that's the thing that was impressed upon me. They said, you don't understand how this thing works here. The mentality. There was an expression one time, they said, it was Arabs or a mentality that said he'll burn his blanket to kill the fleas. And there's this idea that you must be feared. You must be strong. You must be, they're negotiating is a Western thing. And I'm sorry, I know this is very, very simplistic, but it's very, very nice. Oh, do you want to talk about that? Okay, that's good. You want to talk about that? Okay. You've got people who made their mark, whether it's Arafat, whether it's Hamas, whether it's Al-Aqsa, whether it's Islamic, whoever it is, Muslim Brotherhood, they didn't make their bones by talking. They didn't sit there and say, you know, we're going to discuss it. He's a great negotiator. Oh, no. In 1972 in the Olympics, what was that about? Terrorism is not, we use the word terrorism. This is a war for them. This is a means of understand how this thing works. And right now they're telling Bibi Netanyahu, you better do something about this. And you better go big and go hard and teach these people a lesson. And be damned, who cares what social media says? Turn off their power, turn off their water and their gas and their electricity and their toilets and make these people suffer. Wait a minute. You can't do that. You have to do that. If you don't do this, what are you going to do? There was an expression, mowing the grass. They had this idea that Hamas was just this, whatever. We'll talk with them. It's just Hamas. Every now and then we mow the grass. We wait till they rise a little bit and then we cut them back. They didn't see this one coming. And then you've got Biden saying Iran had nothing to do with it. No. Well, they didn't pay. We can guarantee you they didn't pay. They didn't use 1 cent of that $6 billion. How do you know this? It's fungible. You heard that term today, right? Fungible. Fungible is when one individual piece is as good as another. It's like oranges. You have one orange, now you have two, you have twice as many. When you give somebody money, you don't know where the money goes. It's ridiculous. So what they're doing right now is, and when Anthony Blinken says it wasn't Iran, it's Iran. That's it. That's it. And listen to what I'm saying. In Israel, they're saying they're looking at us. And if they think, wow, if you're talking about a bunch of ragtag Hamas with paragliders and bulldozers and some rockets that they didn't even notice, where are all these rockets coming? You don't think they knew rocket batteries in the old days? You mean they didn't know this? Maybe they're not. Maybe they've gotten soft. This is what Israel is thinking about other people, because they would think the same thing. They're thinking, wait a minute. If Hamas just softened them up, we're going to see this again. And they're turning to Bibi and others and saying, you better do something, because this doesn't look like the same Israel, and this doesn't look like the same Bibi. Period. Now, change it. What about from their point of view? What is it like right now? The world, the left, academics, they have no time for Israel. None. It's 100% in solidarity with settlers, with the West Bank and Gaza. Period. And whatever they're saying is, they will say this to you. What they did was wrong. We decry human suffering. We decry that there is absolutely, but I am telling you, we got a problem. Look at this. White Monkey says, when do your cutting room tickets go on sale? I'm going to book a flight early. Saw you there in 2019. Awesome show. Thank you. We're going to get this up ASAP. I will let you know immediately, my friend. Thank you. February 3rd, 2324. I guess that means something, right? Keep in mind what's going on here. This is what they're thinking. This is what they are thinking. I am telling you, listen to me. I'm not asking you to agree with me. I'm not asking you to like these people, don't like these. It doesn't matter. This is what's happening. And when Bibi says we're going to rewrite, we're going to reset, rewrite, reconnect the Middle East. Now, I was reading this, and oh my God, it was just incredibly amazed by how many people were commenting on so many things, which was, I was listening to somebody from Human Rights Watch, and they were talking about the laws of war. And they were talking about when a combatant can be killed or hurt or harmed or shot or removed, when war can and cannot commence. Is this war? What can the and we talk about Article 3 of this, what can Israel do? What can Hamas do? Do the Geneva Conventions apply? These aren't bad. These aren't combatants. Mike Rochburns, thank you, Mike. Thank you, sir. Do you think maybe there's some form of that these are war? Do you think this is a war? Is Hamas a military war? Do you take prisoners of war? There's no war. Who declared war? You have to, if you take a prisoner, you have to release them when the war is over. What war? What are you talking about? Bibi said it was declaring war. Well, he said there's declaring war. Declaring war against whom? What? Hamas? Hamas is some militant organization. Now, the best part about this is, let me tell you another group of people you're not talking about, you're not listening to. These are the people who live in Gaza. These are ones who will tell you, listen, I don't know how to tell you this, but I may not be the biggest Israel fan, but these guys have taken my country hostage, and I can't say anything or they'll kill me. They come to our neighborhood, they go on top of our buildings, they shoot these rockets off. Israel can spot that. They've got blimps and not satellite, maybe satellites. They've got eye in the sky. They know exactly where this comes from. And I'm in that building. I'm a freaking human shield. I can't stand these people. The money comes to them. They take it. Look around you. Look at this. Look at the pearl of the Mediterranean. This was supposed to be the Singapore. They actually said this, 1988 article in the New York Times. This was going to be the Singapore of Middle East. Look at this place. Look at it. It's incredible. All the Pavlovian virtue signaling is nauseating. Mr. Monkey, I agree with you 100%. Not only that, Pavlovian obeisance is kind of a neat, it's like a scripted, rote stuff. But here's the best part. Okay, you do know in 2005, with Ariel Sharon, the baddest ass of them all, they say this guy was a butcher. He said, all right, that's it. We're out of there. Here, we'll give you Gaza. We'll give it to you. And they said, you what? We're going to give it to you. Everybody out. He had Israeli troops go in and pull Israeli citizens out of their homes. They said, it's now part of the Palestinian, the Gaza. We're out of there. But we live here. Get out. His own people. They never forgot him for that. Never. I mean, they couldn't believe this. IDF soldiers going in and pulling Israeli citizens out of what they said, this is our home. Okay. All right, Gaza, it's yours. Take it. Guess where the money went? Hamas. Look at the place. Look at it. Where's the infrastructure, the resorts? Where's IMF? All the big money people. We'll loan you money. Build it, refurbish it. It'd be great. You can make it the pearl of the Mediterranean. Right there. Resorts. Make a fortune. Look at it. Where's the money? Guess who got it? They pulled a Zelensky on him. It's the same thing. Money goes to Zelensky, doesn't go to Ukraine. He gets it. Don't you love he's tap dancing all around this stuff? To see Zelensky talking about this, that's my favorite. You're in support of Israel? Wait a minute. You've got people there of a certain political persuasion who are part of the Azov battalion and others who are the nasty. Do you know what you're talking about? Do they know you're saying you're in support of Israel? You are? I know you're a Jew theoretically, but what? Stepan Bandera, the dude who was in front of in Canada? You know where he was, right? Be careful because there's logarithms there. Unbelievable. Look at the West Bank. Same thing. This is yours. Where is the money? Why aren't you developing? Don't look at us. You've got people all over the world that say, we will make the West Bank sparkling. And the same thing for Gaza. Jordan and Egypt and this and that and all the people who love them. Great. Look at it. Where's the money? The corruption is through the roof. Does anybody ever talk about that? No. You think the Gazans are going to say this? You think they're going to say, hey, you're right about that? Come on. So why doesn't that come up? Why don't these Harvard belligerents protest? And by the way, I could have sworn I saw Palestine with a Z. Maybe that's a cool way to say it. Maybe it was a typo. I have no idea. Now, what I just told you, that makes sense? Anybody ever tell you that? You ever hear that on TV? No, never. Because it's got to be all about Israel. Now, Israel, let me tell you something. I swear to God, I would say to you, what are you thinking? Why is this place so important to you? I'm not going to argue. I'm not going to go back in history. I'm not going to go back to David and the first Temple Mount okay, I'm not going to do that. Okay, because you do know it's a lot of this about religion. Now, I heard something interesting. You know who's so good is our good friend Judge Napolitano and McGregor. And Colonel McGregor referred to this whole thing as Little Bighorn, the Little Bighorn effect, where they underplayed the severity of their enemy. They asked, well, what about Mossad? Where are they? And they said, well, a lot of them were in Ukraine. I'm thinking, okay. This is also like the Battle of the Bulge. There was this operational breakdown versus no alert. Here's the issue. Let me tell you what I would do right now. And I'm always thinking, what would I do if I was the bad guy? What would I do? What would be my take? What would be my take? The first thing I would say is, let's take this on the road. There are people who hate us. I would say more than Israel, than anyone, because of our history. Let's talk about Iran. Can you think of any reason why Iran would not be crazy about us? Anybody? Even though we supposedly unfroze their assets and they would say, excuse me, you froze what belonged to us. But can you think of any reason why Iran might not be our biggest friend? Do you? 1953, anything come to mind? Any event? Anybody remember Operation Ajax? Remember that one? How we thought we can do whatever we want. The Dulles brothers, Kermit Roosevelt, Mossadegh gave him the Shah. Shah didn't even want that. The Shah was having the time of his life with his wife shopping in Paris. He goes, no, you're going back. He says, I don't want to go back. You're going back. Okay. Remember that? Do you think that maybe they might say, you know what, we've been having a hard time with this. We've been having a hard time. And there's a lot of anti-Iranian stuff, and they've whacked some of our people. You know what? Maybe there's a way we can get back at the U.S. What do you say? Who's game? You game? Who else is with us? Hey, China, come here. Oh, yeah. I still can't remember what you did when you sent Nancy Pelosi to Taiwan. I can't believe what you did that. That was like, you don't do that. Okay. See, people go crazy Remember the Temple Mount, the Al-Aqsa Mosque, and oh my God, they went berserk with that one. Remember when Sharon went there? You're like sticking your thumb in their eye, and you're doing this on purpose. And they don't forget anything. They don't forget, and they're looking and they're saying, "Look at the United States." Remember, these are the people who appreciate strength. We've got this pathetic Joe Biden. Tell me there isn't a part of you. Tell me there isn't a part of your soul that doesn't die when you see Joe Biden slide across the room. Tell me there isn't a part of you that doesn't die when you see Joe Biden just, oh my God. What do you think that looks like to the rest of the people? What do you think about people who believe in these weird notions about manliness and all of these, what am I trying to say, manly men, and do you think that they would sit there and say, let's go after the United States? What do you think? Oh, and by the way, all you lefties out there, why don't you take some of your trans folks, maybe some of your drag show, John Waters dystopian groups? Why don't you go? What do you say? Why don't you go to, I don't know, Ramallah? Go to Riyadh. Go there. Take it on the road. All of you wonderful folks at Harvard laughing with your pink hair and why don't you go there? Go to Gaza. Ask the Hamas dudes what they think about you. They're on your side, right? I mean, versus in Israel. Where do you think you would be treated better? Don't tell me. You don't know, do you? Go ahead. See how long you last. Go to Iran. Remember how they would throw people off of roofs? Remember that? Remember how they would just put people at the end of the turret of a tank? Remember that? This is incredible. This is not just a theocracy. This is like, I don't know, 14th century. Go ahead. Do it. Do you know what you're talking about? Do you know what you're talking about? To these little children who have their little moments of they're upset. Or maybe they have these moments where they're feeling like they have trigger warnings. And I don't want to do that. And why don't you go tell that fellow with the AK-47, the Kalashnikov, the guy on top of in the back of the white Toyota, tell him what your pronouns are. Go ahead. I'll wait. Go tell him. Please. I insist. Do you know who you're talking about here? What do you think we're talking about? Now, the citizens, bless their heart, they're hostages. They can't say anything. The citizens are saying, help us. What are we going to do? Do you think we like living? Do you like we can just look and say, look how much better they're living than us. Where's the money? Why aren't we doing? We're going to blame them. Why are you blaming Israel? What about us? Gaza was supposed to be, look at this place, the real estate of this. Who in their right mind would have two people, Palestine, the PLO, Fatah, and then Hamas? Underground tunnels and oh my God. This is where I think Israel's out of their mind. They're crazy. This is what we're talking about here. Now, if somebody decides, and I'm telling you, and I've been hearing this, let's assume somebody from, I don't know, the cartels decide, you know what? We've met so many people, and the enemy of my friend. And we've got friends and alliances with China. We've got alliances with Hamas, with Hezbollah. That's right. The Sinaloa cartel. What do you need? You need money? We've got money. Ronald Reagan told you how to bankroll the Sandinistas with coke. Come on, don't let anybody ever fool you. The CIA is not involved in drug trafficking. Yes, it was. Stop it. What happens if there are all these sleeper cells here? That's what I heard. I don't know if it's true. Might have been more. Maybe they're just speaking out of turn. But when we were looking the other way and pretending that we had a border, all these people are in here. What happens to them? Who's going to protect us? I don't think they understand how bad this world is. Do you? I don't think they understand how bad this world is. Do you? I don't think so. I think they live in a namby-pamby world of little unicorns and sugar plum bumpkin and everybody's sweet and everybody's happy. I don't think they really understand it. And I don't think they're going to and I don't think they have any idea of what the hell is about to happen and what BB is going to do, because they're going to tell them, you better do the right thing. Because if these people do not get the message, and this is what they're saying now. They are saying, you want them to say, remember in 23, remember what happened? Remember when Gaza? Remember what we can't do that again. We can't do that again. There was a wonderful scene years ago from a show called Jack Reacher. It was actually the first version with Tom Cruise. Tom Cruise was about to be in a bar fight with somebody. They were going to go outside, and lo and behold, when they're outside, there's a scene where before Tom Cruise is about to kill this person and crush his gonads in a fight, he turned to him and said, "Now remember, you wanted this." So what Israel is going to be saying to Hamas is, you wanted this. You wanted this. And to all the citizens of Gaza, we're sorry, but don't take it up with us. Take it up with your leaders. They wanted this. They knew exactly what would happen. Now, is that brutal? Perhaps. Have people suffered enough? Absolutely. Is that going to undo anything? Right now, the official, I think we're looking at right now, about the number is so far about 1,500 people killed, about 687 Palestinians killed in airstrikes, about 140 kids, 3,700 people wounded. I think 900 Israelis, 2,150 wounded. More than 250 of the dead were Israelis who came under attack at the Supernova Music Festival. And here's the best part. Where is anybody speaking against this? Eric Thaddeus Walter says 500,000 plus dead in Ukraine over the last decade, most in the last 18 months. I've changed my virtue signaling flag over the weekend because I'm into the new thing. Indeed, sir. Do you think, Eric, do you think people grasp what we're talking about here? Do you think people understand? I don't think so. I don't think they understand any of this. I don't think they believe any of what they're seeing here. This is going to be brutal. This is going to be, there is no solution to this. You understand this, right? There is no solution. Hamas is not sending an emissary to sit down with the BB and his folks saying, listen, we got to work this out. We can't do this anymore. You know that's not happening, right? That's not happening. You know they're not doing this. They're not doing this. So what do we do next? What's going to happen next? Now we've got Saudi Arabia in this thing. Saudi Arabia loved at first. Things were doing okay. Things were all right. They were actually getting around. They were having like kosher restaurants in Dubai. They were actually working with Israel. That's over with now. So what's going to happen? This is just, let me tell you something. Let me see if I can explain this. We live in a world of again, I keep saying namby-pamby, these children. If somebody were, let's say, to scuttle a ship in the Straits of Hormuz, gas would be $20 tomorrow. Because remember, it's about speculation. Edie Crowley says, so if the Palestinians have to flee Gaza, will their brethren take them in? Well, put it this way. If they flee Gaza, knowing the Israelis, they'll take them in. You see, this is the part. You see, Edie, and thank you, Edie, and thank you, everyone, Eric and other. This is something that we don't understand. None of this makes any sense to us. None of it. We don't understand how geography can change. This was pre-1967. What does that mean to us? We don't even understand what that means. What does that mean? Take this, give you back. We had to sign it, we give it back, we take this. The settlements, have you ever seen the actual settlement, the structure? It's insanity. How do you think anybody's going to live? There is no place on earth where Israeli Jews come in and they say, we want to stay here. This is where we're staying because this is ours. King David or this or that biblical prophecy, whatever it is. And you're surrounded, not by a militia group, but you had Egypt, Syria, Jordan. Not only that, groups. Forget ISIS, ISIL, the Levant, Islamic Jihad, Hamas, Hezbollah, Palestinian Authority years ago, al-Aqsa Brigade, subdivisions of all this. Forget all of that. We're talking about something that is so. And what's Joe Biden doing? This is the part. Where is the leadership? You know this wouldn't happen with Trump. You know this would not happen with Trump, right? Does anybody doubt this? Does anybody doubt this? Because the first thing they would think is, this guy's nuts. That's what I like about Trump. He's creatively nuts. He's lethally nuts. He's dramatically nuts. He's a madman. He would go out of his mind. Are you kidding me? But they know this. You see, when the greatest superpower, supposedly in the world, has this doddering coot as a leader. Anybody see Joe's brother today? Who saw that picture? Anybody? Tell me, yes or no? Did you see that? Did you see this one? This, can you? Joe Biden's younger brother, Frank, admits naked selfie on guys with iPhones gay dating site is genuine. My phone must have been hacked. There he is. In a nude. There's Frank. There he is. I guess it's mine. What the hell is going on here? Did you see that one? Let me make it available to you. Here it is, everybody. Daily Mail's got a hell of a shot. Look at this guy. Look at what's going on here. What is with these people? Does anybody know what's going on? What is with this family? What is the matter with these people? They're out of their minds. They're demented. Absolutely demented. I cannot tell you this. I'm telling you, ladies and gentlemen, if you don't understand what is happening here. And then we have this. Hamas says it will begin to execute hostages and post video evidence online. For every Israeli airstrike, as Prime Minister Netanyahu orders Israelis' defense forces to besiege Gaza. You ready for this? You ready for this one? What do you think is going to happen there? What will it take for AOC and others to say, all right, that's enough? Anything? What will it take? What will it take for them to say, this is what is going on here? And let me also tell you something. This is the best part that I love. I want you to imagine dealing with and listening to and meeting somebody from another country, another world, another planet. And they sit down and they ask you, what's the matter? Oh, these are religious people. See, before they cut your head off, they're talking about God is great and God is this and my God is that. It's all about God. You see that place right now, that piece of real estate? This is supposedly where I believe the Islamic faith was born, and then the Christians. And it's incredible. We are savages, all of us, all of us. We do this because we just hate each other. We just hate each other. It's the most incredible. Now, let me ask you something. Before you get all high and mighty, before you think like, well, we're better than that, are we really? When you see pictures of Hamas soldiers taking little kids, giving them an AK-47 and having them smile, remember when parts of our country at hangings of black folks would bring kids? They'd have picnics as a guy's lynched. Do you remember this demented lunacy? Do you remember this? Does this seek to make you wonder, dear God, how does this work? We hated people in our country just because they're black. That's it. And we did horrible things. And this one hates Jews because they're Jews. And this one, what is the matter with us? Where is God? Where is goodness? What does this have to do with anything? Think about this. And I'm telling you, there's something about these people that are different than we are. They're tougher than we are. They've been through this. We couldn't handle COVID. We went crazy because we had to take takeout and sit on the couch in our jammies and watch Netflix. People went bananas with that one. They reverted. Kids never went back to school because of COVID, because they had to wear a mask. They went crazy over nothing. They believed everything. We shut everything down. We went nuts. People still never recovered. People never went to work, never went back. And that was just COVID. That was COVID. How do you think we'd handle it now? How do you think? John McGuire couldn't get higher. Says, fun fact, the last public hanging in the USA was attended by thousands in Owensboro, Kentucky. What year was that? Fun fact. I like that fun fact. What would happen if all of a sudden we find out, wait a minute, there's a series of sleeper cells here going off, whatever. What do you think would happen with that? What do you think would happen? What would we do? Where would we call? What would happen? What would happen? You know what we do? Nothing. Will we have a police force? Nope. We have an army? No. We took care of that. We have diverse armies. We have people with different colors and everything. But no, absolutely not. None. No. 1936. Dear God. You know what, John? I've gotten so disgustingly fed up with crime. I'm thinking to myself, maybe that might be a good idea. But I don't want to lose my humanity. Tell me you understand what's going on. Just tell me you see this. Not just... Do you see this as, look, this is Israel. They're always going to be doing that. We've been to the Intifada, the Second Intifada, and Gaza in 1967 and 73, and the Yom Kippur War. We've been through this stuff before, and we've been through the Temple Mount. They can't get along. Don't worry about it. Doesn't affect us. Do you believe that? Do you believe that? Do you believe this? Now, people have said some, and this is the most important thing in the world. Can you apply any kind of logic to this? The answer is, I'm not applying logic to it. That's what I'm saying. I'm telling you exactly the way it is. There is no logic. I know behavior. It's the behavior I'm talking about, not logic. Not logic. That's the thing that's the most important part. Now, how does this affect the election? Dear God. Bobby Kennedy today, let me tell you again what's going to happen. You're going to have people, he is saying things that are so important. Bad timing, I think, but he is saying stuff that is so important. He's going to destroy the stupid left-right nonsense, which is wonderful. That's number one. Number two, the left, or whatever this Biden thing is, looks worse than it ever looked, ever, if that's even remotely possible. Look at him. When will he step down? When will he step down? They said he was on the phone with Netanyahu. Can you imagine Biden on the phone? What does he say? You unfroze the assets from Iran. What are you doing? What do you know? Do you understand what's going on here? Do you understand what's happening here? What happens if it's not too late? What happens if Iran gets a nuclear bomb? Let me ask you, all of our geniuses, what would happen? Anything? Does that affect you in the least? Do you think that might kind of change things in the Middle East, so to speak? Anybody? Anybody? And somebody brings up a good point. Mr. Fox brings this up. Why are we sending money to anyone? Why? Why? Please explain to me why we have so much money. We're sending it to places that have no interest anything in helping us or doing it. Do you think any of the people that we have helped and supported? And by the way, I would say with the exception of Israel, and that bothers people. Oh my God, don't say that. If you dare say anything that's not negative, not that's positive, but if you say something that's not negative, you're a Zionist. You're a shill. Have you heard that one? That's the one that gets me. That's the one that gets me. You're a Zionist. You're not pro-Israel, pro-democracy, pro-Middle East. You're a Zionist. You're into, I mean, this is where we are right now. And there are people who are sitting here, especially on the quote, this new kind of a version of this, kind of a younger version of conspiracy talk or whatever you want to call it. They love this term. So let me ask you something. I'm going to ask you, everybody, what would you do? What would you do right now? Tell us. Ron Paul's good. I like his good point. What would Ron Paul do? Do you think it's okay to sit back and say, we're not going to do anything? We're just not going to do anything. We're not involved in this. Do whatever you want, blow people, it doesn't matter. We have no interest. We have no interest whatsoever. If you run Israel, let me ask you a very simple question. Yes or no? Very simple question. Yes or no? Because some of you have some incredibly important points, and I want you, especially when you disagree. Do you think that Israel matters to us? Do you think that Israel is our friend or matters? Or if Israel were to disappear, would we suffer at all? Does Israel have anything to do? However you want to phrase it, yes or no? Do you recognize? Does Israel serve any benefit to us? I'm asking you. I'm asking you a simple question. That's worth this. Do you? Do you think so? It's critical that you ask that. Do you think so? We have a yes from Paul. Hillbilly says yes. Mark says no. Bongo says no. Don't know. So if Israel, let me get this straight. If in that particular part of the area, what do you think would happen? What would happen? What would Hamas do? What would happen if I could? Let me ask you a question. Snap my fingers, remove Israel. It just doesn't exist. It's just gone. It's like, okay, what would happen? Would there be peace in the Middle East? Would they say, hey, this is great. Come on, guys. Thanks. Let's go back and you take Jerusalem and I'll take this. And this is happy days are here again. So civilization flourishes. Technology flourishes. Do you think, and by the way, with that goes all of the advancement, everything that Israel's ever done in terms of high tech. I know nobody cares about that. But do you think there's going to be this incredible resurgence of Palestinian technology, the Palestinian version of Silicon Valley? Do you think so? Do you think that's going to happen? See, because nobody ever talks about this. Nobody ever says exactly what is the whole point. And nobody ever asks, well, what is it that you want? If you were to go to Harvard and talk to these people and say, well, what do you want? What do you want? Somebody writes a good point here, and it's very good. Let me see something right here. Here we go. Our good friend Bongo says false binary. Okay, Bongo, tell me what what the correct question is. Tell me your question, because I'd like people to weigh in on this one. Tell me. Here we go. JFK was trying to reshape the financial system. That's always good to bring that one up. And they said no. That's true. That's good. I like this. Tell me, give me something right now as to what's happening. And this is important. What is it? What is this about? What would bring peace to that era? Do you think, what does Hamas or Islamic Jihad, what do they stand for? What do they actually stand for? If there's no Israel to be against, tell me. Anybody? Eric Thaddeus Walter says, Frank, former Nigerian child slave soldier and mercenary for EU countries, employed for years in Roma as a tour operator. His handshake leaves impression of a skull ring in the palm of my hand. Perspective. Wow. Former Nigerian child slave soldier and mercenary for EU countries. Employed for years in Rome, as a tour operator. His handshake leaves the impression of a skull ring in the palm of my hand. Wow. What would you do to fix this thing? How do we fix this? Here's one. Bongo says, the Middle East was peaceful and Western until the 60s and 70s when the CIA started radicalization. The CIA started this in the 60s. So you're saying in 48, 49, 50, after the state of Israel was created, the CIA started radicalization. That's interesting. I have no reason to dispute this. I'd like to know a little more. I don't know what that would do then. That's the part of this. When did the radicalization, dare I say, of Palestine occur? When did they become a problem? Before there was Arafat, there was what? What was it? When did the terrorist aspect of this come about? That's the question. John McGuire says, dig up the land and buildings, ship it to the moon, and give both sides rocket ships. Let them figure out nonsense somewhere else. That's a good one. I like this. Look at this one. Paul says Dubai is still in play and desires to gestate itself as the principal economic entity in the Middle East. They will not permit Palestinian issue to divert them from achieving their will. Very interesting. You know what else I've also thought is that if you look at in Africa, like Tunisia, Pan-Africa, Egypt to an extent, there will always be a certain mentality. But remember something. Whenever somebody wears a suit, you're halfway there. I know that sounds ridiculous. I know that sounds a bit odd, a bit daft. But there are people who have one foot in reality. They want to know. I always thought that King Hussein was fairly rational. Anwar Sadat was fairly rational till the Muslim Brotherhood got him. That's a whole nother story too. You see, there's this thing about modernity. There's a thing whenever, it's so funny, whenever they would talk about religion, when Christopher Hitchens would have his speeches on religion and whether religion was good or bad, do you think that they were talking about this? Do you think? Where does this come from? Where did this, before 1948, before the state of Israel, what was it? Happy and groovy and perfect, and it was British, obviously. What is this? And here is the deal. Here is the most important part. What does this say about just humans. Forget the political part. And I know you're never going to hear anybody on CNN or any TV show talk about this. But what about humans? What about humans? White Monkey says, how do you sort out a region that has been in conflict for 2 millennia? Excellent point. You see, that's one thing we don't know. But also a culture. When do we understand culture? How do we explain this to people? You know, when and this is the most important thing in the world. And I want to say this again. All of the today, I would think, or many people think, that the gay issue and the non-binary issue and all this other kind of jazz is so important to the world. It's the most important thing in the world that what they do is that's all people talked about. Do you remember when we went through this nonsense called the pronouns? If you're gay in Israel, so what? You're fine. You will fit in. This, I promise you. Their beef sometimes is between the secular and the religious. You have Arabs who live in Israel. You have people who live in the Souk in Jerusalem, where all of the stores are and the merchants, Arabs. It's a different world. It's a secular world. They don't walk around. It's not about Judaism. I mean, it's a different place. There's the cultural versus. I'm not going to describe the dynamics, but we're different. We have like there's a cultural Catholic and a real. I don't know. It doesn't have any corollary elsewhere. But anyway, this is the part I don't understand. Isn't there this part? Isn't there this part? Do you think, let me ask you a question. Do you think that at the height of racism, when racism in our country was at its worst, when people were saying, I want segregation, do you think people would have been turned off? A lot of people were turned off when they saw black people lynched? I think so. I think there were a lot of folks who say, you know what? That's enough. No. Desegregation in schools is one thing. That's another. I'm not into that one. I'll bet you anything. There were more people that you don't hear about who say, this is nuts. These people are crazy. I didn't want my kids to go to school with a black kid, but I do not I do not agree to that. Okay, fine. So all of these people, all of these folks, all of these Ilan Omars and others, these people they would look at you and not blink twice. You're gay? Forget it. You're done. How does that How does that work? I don't understand that. I don't I know it sounds like I'm being dense. I don't understand that. Explain that one to me. What is your allegiance? And it's not about being pro Palestinian. It's about anti-Israel. It's this thing. Listen, let me explain something to you. I want to be very, very clear, and I've said this before. You can have many, many bases and reasons not to like the policy of the state of Israel in terms of the politics. Read Haaretz. Read it. You can't believe what they say. They're with you 100%. There are people who can't stand Bibi. There's liberal Israelis. That's not the issue. That's not what we're talking about. There's something that's different, though. There's something about it. Everybody loves to hate somebody. We love that. We love, as humans, especially when we're given a reason to hate. We did a little bit a while back with Bin Laden, and that kind of pooped out. White Monkey says Syria was pretty secular, Christian, Muslims, Jewish. See how they fixed that? Well, you know, it's funny when you looked at if you look at they're Alawites. See, I love these. They say Alawites. Hafiz al-Assad was a pilot. He was like Brezhnev's buddy. He learned how to fly with the Russians. I think Tartus might still be there. This is the only naval base in Syria. I mean, you've see, we're so lucky. Trying to explain this to Americans. Imagine Arab, Persian. Look at India and Pakistan. They're basically the same, but they're split. It's like Jews and Arabs are the same. So opposite. That's a language. We are demented as a people. Why are we? What is this thing that we're? This sounds so Pollyannish. I almost said this. Why are we killing? And they're thinking nothing. Why didn't any of these women say, wait a minute, did you see this girl crying as she's being let off? Maybe to her death? And you can only imagine before that on a motorcycle as she's screaming. And people are saying, well, that's BB's fault. I mean, excuse me. How do they do this? Please tell me how you do this. Please tell me how you do this. How do they do this? How do they recognize this fact? Somebody explain that to me. I don't get it. I don't get it. I don't understand any of this. I mean, and I've told you this example before. During Vietnam, you could be 100% for your troops. You could say, you know what? We have to stand by our troops. We did it. Okay, that's great. That's wonderful. That's terrific. That's great. But me lie? Dear God, no. Did anybody ever, can't you differentiate the two? It's all or nothing. I don't understand it. Let me just tell you. Let me just leave you with this. If you think this is over, if you think this is just about Israel, you're out of your mind. There's something very serious coming. Something very serious coming. And there are people who are looking at us and how we're going to react, and they're saying, you know what, this is fun. Let's see what we can do elsewhere. Let's pick this party up. Let's show them who's boss. Let's show them a few things. You think I'm kidding? And I'm telling you right now, and I told you this, do not be surprised if one day you're going to hear about cartels operating in our country. They already are. Brought to you by the Biden administration. Dear friends, you are superb. I thank everyone, and I thank especially, I love when people have an opinion that is not contrary, but different. White Monkey says, there's cells all over the U.S., Hezbollah, and North Carolina. Well, you know what? Remember how all of a sudden they had, remember how all of a sudden there was, they worried about MS-13. You remember that? And then they don't talk about MS-13 anymore. They don't talk about him anymore. That's it. They don't say anything about MS-13. Nothing. It's like it never happened. There's so much money going on now. There's so much fentanyl. And wait till you see, do not be surprised if one day you see these folks all of a sudden teaming up with China and others to get us back. Because, my friends, they hate us like you cannot believe. And then all of this stuff we'll see even more, dare I say, relevant or reminiscent, if you will. So, White Monkey, thank you so very much. John McGuire couldn't get higher. Thank you. The lovely, the talented, the professorial, the erudite, Eric Thaddeus Walters, thank you for your kindness. Edie Crowley, thank you. White Monkey, I think I said. Mike Rockburns, thank you as well. Heather West from Scotland, thank you, Heather. And thank you, dear friends. Don't forget also, preparewithlionel.com, preparewithlionel.com, save 25% off a 3-month emergency food order kit. If I have to explain the sagacity, the sapience of stored food, emergency food now, and don't forget, our dear friends, they are alive and kicking. MyPillow.com, promo code Lionel. Use promo code Lionel and receive a free gift, or call 800-645-4965 for those of you who are OG, as the kids say. All right, dear friends, thank you. 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 Here's a great one. Steve Bell says, I'm UK. Where the hell do I head to? That's a great question. Sadie, thank you so much. Thank you. And Mrs. L, thank you so much. Jody Fritz gave me the thumbs up. That's all that matters. Marsh Maz, always like that. And I always like a good car picture. Everything we know is the Long Island Expressway. Thank you so much. Mr. Fox, thank you. Mark Backus, thank you as well. Mike Chauvin, thank you. Everybody's here. Oh, look at this. Here's our good friend, Gen X America. We are forked. Indeed, we are. Kyle's there. Wonderful. Thank you so much. All right, dear friends, we will see you tomorrow morning. Don't forget, same bat time, same bat channel at 8 a.m. You are absolutely just incredibly important. Thank you so much for this. You make this so much fun. I look so forward. You have no idea to this. Can you imagine if we could take this on the road? If you could just watch like David Muir, he's talking, and all of a sudden there are people who are chatting. People who, this is the most important interactive, the most important participatory venture that human beings engage in. And I thank you for that. Have a great day, friends. See you tomorrow, 8 a.m. Don't forget, until then, these final words, the valedictory. These words, the monkey's dead. The show's over. Sue ya. Da, da.